Welcome to our facilities forum where we're sharing some of the re-envisioning work that we're doing for the Central Vermont Career Center and Central Vermont Career Center School District. And we're basically in this phase where we're picking this back up. It was a project that was started a long time ago, and we're excited to share it with whoever shows up to see this later and watches this video. It's too bad we won't have a question and answer session, but maybe we can share a couple of the questions we have received so far at the end. So the things that we're going to go through tonight are why does CVCC need a new center, and some of the work that was done prior to this kickoff that we're doing this month in May of 2024, and then sort of where we're leaning and the feedback that we need from all of you. And hopefully some folks that aren't watching tonight but can watch later can give us some of that feedback. So just last night, the CVCC SD board was talking about this goal, our want to serve all eligible students in our region and to provide programming that fulfills the needs of students, employers, and the community. And our present facilities really prevent us from doing that for so many ways. And by 2029, we hope that we can have a standalone state-of-the-art facility that serves all eligible students in our region, is staffed and resourced appropriately, and will realize an increased enrollment versus applicant percentage, as well as altered and added programming from previous years. So we're building up to what we hope to open as a beautiful new center. And we hope it to be all day with academics, etc. So what that means in other words is that our state-of-the-art facility will serve all the eligible students in our region. It will have more capacity for increased enrollment versus the applicant percentage that we are seeing right now. And we're going to show that in a few minutes. There will be increased academic achievement because we'll have that full day schedule. So the programming that is 4 hours daily at minimum, and then the additional academics that support students and is more related to what they're studying and their interests, as well as strengthening our pathways to advanced career credentials. We were talking last night at our program quality meeting about our EMS2 program, where students are earning 33 college credits in that program, and other programs that might be able to provide that huge of a kickstart for kids later. And then also reaching down. So not only reaching out, but reaching down into the middle schools across our region to improve student access and eliminate some of the barriers that exist now to students achieving access and participation at our center. The biggest thing is that increase in capacity that we need. We've been growing. Our applicants have grown, the pool of applicants over the last 5 years. And that FY25 applicants piece is just from the first and second rounds. We're exceeded the 400 mark now for applicants for next year's programs because we are in our third round. So each year we've seen an increase over the last 5 years of students applying, and we really are nearly at our capacity. We have a capacity of 241 students, and we're almost there for next year. And that's with expansions that we've done over the last couple of years. So we are currently a full day center, but that's in CTE language and career tech ed, which means that our programs meet for 4 hours a day. Expanding programming would require overcoming some of the barriers and boundaries we have. So we would need to extend our school day if we were to reuse our current spaces. If they were to house 2 programs instead of 1, we would need a longer day to be able to do that. So 4 hours for each program. It would also require hiring additional instructors and the sharing of spaces, which could be difficult. As you see in that picture, that's in one of our programs. I think that's the electrical program. And you can see just the one class in that's pretty crowded. And if we're trying to build something and the kids are working on a project, if another layer of students, another program of students comes in and uses that same space, how do we share it effectively so they get what they need? Also, if we think about growing without a new facility, that means that we've run out of space at Spalding High School, where we've taken a little extra space even for next year. And that means we need to look to our sending schools as potential partners for holding programs in their spaces, or it means that we need to rent or purchase other outside spaces. Both of these require additional costs and supervision. In the past, before I arrived at CVCC, and I think, David, you're going to talk about this a little more, and maybe we should have introduced ourselves because I don't know who's watching this. So,
Right. Yeah.
hi, I'm the superintendent director at Central Vermont Career Center, Jody Emerson. And before I arrived at the Career Center, and before it was a separate district, the previous director and Barry Unified Union Schools had worked with Truex Collins and Low Valley Brensinger at different points, not together, doing some visioning, some lab prototypes, and thinking about the space needs. They, at that time, gathered industry input. They did some cost estimating and created a project budget. There was some conversations, it sounds like, around site and funding. And at the same time as that re-envisioning was taking place, there was also a governance committee that was beginning the process of becoming a school district. And when I arrived, I didn't have the capacity to take on both projects. And so I took the one that seemed to be a little further along and was going to cost less at the time and was easier to kind of move forward towards the goal. And that was the becoming a new school district. And since we've done that and we're in our second year as a school district, it made sense with the given the board's goals to turn back to this re-envisioning work and re-engage with our former partners. And I'll let you two introduce yourselves and then kick it off.
Hi, I'm Julie Spence with the Valley Brensinger Architects, and we worked previously with CVCC on sort of their re-envisioning, which involves looking at all the different groups that make up the CVCC community, the students, parents, educators, the organization, community, and industry, and seeing what each of those groups needs from CVCC and what CVC needs from them, and feel like are we meeting those needs? Or is there more that we could be doing? And through those discussions, we arrive at some guiding principles, which are the list of principles on the right. And later in the presentation, I'll go through what we've talked about with each of these guiding principles and give you a little bit more information on them.
Thanks, Julie. Hi, everyone. My name's Dave Epstein. I'm with Truex Collins. We also worked with CVCC back in 2021, and this is one of the last pieces of work that we did, which was to kind of develop a building diagram that showed the ability to expand, showed what some of the relationships were between the different lab spaces. And then it was at that point, that it was decided that really the best path forward was to become a school district, because that would provide a way forward for the project. We couldn't really look for land and do some of the things we're doing now until CVCC became a district. And so this was where we sort of ended the work in 2021. One of the things we did do was as Jody mentioned, was we did an industry workshop. This was during COVID. It was online. We had representatives from 17 different organizations, which was great. And we asked these questions, and we got a very robust response. And but we want, it's 4 years later, and we'd like to hear what you folks think. What are you looking for in the ideal CTE graduate? What programs should be offered in the new center, and what kind of resources would you take advantage of at the new center? So we'll talk about it in a minute, but there's a new survey and a QR code that takes you there that we hope you'll fill out. So this is the project team today. Truex Collins is the architect of record. The Valley Brensinger is our valued partner, working as the CTE lab designer. And then we have civil and structural engineering, mechanical, electrical, landscape architects, and cost consultants. And we've put together this team to help bring the project to the finish line. We'll talk a little bit more about that in coming slides.
So what we've talked about so far in terms of the proposed program offerings, we've broken this into 4 different categories. The first one is STEM. So they're already offering building trades, plumbing and heating, electrical technology, and automotive. And for next year, in this grouping, they're adding welding, which is very exciting. And that would be the last thing we would add in this grouping. Unless we hear back from you, answer that survey. In the category of health and natural sciences, they're currently offering medical professions and emergency services. We want to bring back the human services, which is also an early education program, and bring back some form of the natural resources and sustainability program, as well as add in animal science. In the area of arts and design, CVCC is already offering digital media arts 1 and 2, which is graphic design, as well as film production. Already offering the stone carving and sculpture, which is called design and fabrication, which is housed at the Granite Museum. But in this area, there's a strong interest in developing a program in advanced manufacturing, which could partner well with some of the other workforce development that's happening in the area and Vermont Technical Center. In the area of business and hospitality, already offer a culinary arts and baking arts program, and already has a really strong cosmetology program. In this area, they'd be looking to add business or management, some kind of entrepreneurship, information technology, something along those lines. And that program is still to be developed.
So we mentioned earlier that we have a survey, a Google Form survey, and it's divided into 2 sections. And the first section has the similar questions to what we asked the industry representatives 4 years ago. And you can see the bulleted questions here. We really want to know what people think about these questions, and what do you think the ideal qualities and skills are for a CTE graduate? What programs should CVCC be offering, and what kind of resources would you or your organization take advantage of? And then there's a second section which gets at the guiding principles, because there was great work done in 2021. It's a very long list of different categories and different ideas that would support those categories. And we want to hear from you what is most important, because that helps us as designers make sure we get it right. So Julie's going to go and talk about the guiding principles in this next section. And once again, this is the QR code. It'll appear again at the end of the presentation, that'll take you to that survey.
So the first guiding principle that we talked about is real-world education. CTE is set up very well to support students in answering real-world problems. In this automotive program, this car is broken, how do we fix it? Feels a lot more real world than solving for X in an algebra equation at your desk. And so CTE does do a really good job in this area. But what else can we do to make the learning feel relevant to students? One of the options is to extend learning outside the classroom by offering more work-based learning, co-ops and internships, or other sources of getting out into different industries and having industry partners for that. You can CVCC already has some programs associated with that, but there's a potential to expand that. By strengthening business and industry connections, perhaps those industries and businesses come into CVCC and do more learning content with the different programs. That's an opportunity. Partnerships with other sending schools could be in the form of other types of career exploration for students trying to figure out where they belong. It could be in the sending school or more middle schools or other groups coming to CVCC to get some of that content. Partnerships with post secondary. I think Jody mentioned that some of her programs have you're earning credits, college credits while you're in high school. That's a great partnership that with a college to get those credits. That could be strengthened if you think that's really important. And one of the other aspects of real world education is acknowledging that the world that the students that are graduating now are entering is ever changing, and the industries and the jobs that they're going to are changing very rapidly in this economy. And how do we stay abreast of that and keep these programs current? Another topic is small learning communities. Those four sections that I talked about earlier that we were grouping the programs in, this initiative could be seen as a way of aligning those similar programs by creating career pathway communities. The automotive shop looks very different than an health occupations kind of uh, program that we're looking at now. Those labs are different. So there's an opportunity to create different industry looks with these kinds of co-locating similar programs. There's also an opportunity to develop interprogram relationships and engagement where you get multiple programs together. I hear that the building trades program goes down to cosmetology to get their haircut. Those are the kinds of interprogram relationships that can be strengthened. Um, I think important in this, seeing all these communities is how to strengthen CVC's community as a whole center and to bring out community pride in that them as a school. And part of that is establishing a space for the whole center to gather together and having a large gathering space to do that. These multiple levels of connection help build student identity and their collaboration skills. Health and wellness is a very popular topic right now among schools. Not only do schools are really committed to supporting their student and staff wellness, but what does that mean and what does that look like? One aspect of it is providing natural light, um, connections to the outdoors, outdoor classrooms, views to the outdoors. It can also involve, healthy indoor air quality. Obviously, if you have a welding lab like this, you want to provide proper exhaust so that the students have a good indoor air quality while they're working. But I think that that is can be extrapolated to a lot of different kinds of programs. It can be important that spaces are welcoming to students, that they feel safe and they are secure from outside threats. But there may be areas that we could also include in here about mental health. Um, so by all means, answer those surveys and give us more feedback on that. One aspect that we've been talking about is personalization. How do we encourage students to explore different career opportunities and to explore what their passions are, what their interests are, and how to create something and learn within those interests um, by offering all these different career pathways. There's an opportunity for individualization and for students to take ownership over their own education. I think they'll be a lot more engaged with their education when they take ownership over it. Um, It involves offering access to everyone within these programs. Universal design and access, transparency, and visible learning are all sort of aspects of I am a person in this space and I have access to everything, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing too. That's another piece of it. We're looking to promote student responsibility and then their knowledge of their position within the community and how they give back to the community in their citizenship. Another aspect is adaptability and flexibility. I like to talk about flexibility as the way a room changes throughout the year and throughout the day so that we can have different group settings and learn different program content. But adaptability is how the ability flexes to the changing industries, to change out to a different program. Um, and this picture here, we have two classrooms that during the day operate separately, but then this operable wall opens up for this drama club to use both spaces together in the evening. So that's kind of a way that the building is flexing and adapting for different kinds of activities. It also means that we need to grow, have space to grow, and um, I think that's it. Thanks. Sorry. Another aspect is community access and engagement. The school wants to be a community resource and an asset to not just the school community, but the larger community. And what are the ways in which the community sees that this school could be an asset? Some of the programs that CVCC has, getting the community to come into the building is essential to the learning. Culinary needs customers, baking needs customers, cosmetology needs clients to come in order to learn that content. So obviously getting the community engaged in those programs is essential. There are opportunities for workforce development and adult education to take over these spaces at night and share the spaces. And there could be similar programs running in the evenings to get more use out of these spaces. There's also opportunities for some of the spaces to be revenue generating opportunities. This cafe can be closed off from the culinary program and could be rented out for meetings, a baby shower, anything that people want to run. And the culinary program could be catering that, but it could be separated off for that event. And the last topic that we have is sustainability. We have been talking about a new building as being a net zero energy, at least ready building, where we're not only developing something that's energy efficient, but are including energy generation, whether that's solar panels, wind, or geothermal, that's all to be determined. Um, we're looking to use local and renewable materials wherever possible. We're also talking about the building and the property as a learning tool to showcase some of what this net zero energy building is doing. So on the bottom picture, you can see in the lobby of this project that um, there is a display talking about all the aspects of sustainability that went into the design of the building. And there is a television display at the end that actually shows the energy use, current energy use of the building, and the water use of the building that is measured through building information system, and then that output is shared with everybody so that students can learn about how they can take part in being good stewards to the environment.
Thanks, Julie. Um, this this is a rough outline of our current schedule. So right now we're in what we call visioning and programming, and that's what this presentation is all about, is to help to get your input so that we can complete the visioning for what is important. What are the important things we need to get right about this building? And that's why we hope you'll fill out the survey. At the same time, we're going through a site selection process. We're looking at, we've developed site criteria, and we're looking at different sites in the region, and compiling a list. And so that's ongoing. And those two phases will meet once we have a site and we've completed the programming. We'll be able to design a building, and that would be the concept design piece. And the goal is to go for a bond vote in November of 2025. And this is a big project, so building design and permitting will take a bit of time, and building construction will take even longer. And the goal, as Jody said earlier, is to be open with a new facility September 2029. So there's a number of ways to stay involved. There are monthly facility committee meetings. You can visit the website. It's quite nice. It's brand new. It has a whole page devoted to the project. There's a lot of information on there. There's a link to the survey. Once again, this is the QR code. And then you can watch, if you, hopefully you're watching this video, because this is the May 14th virtual forum. And there will be more probably in the fall. We will have a series of meetings bringing people up to speed on the progress of the project and asking new questions and getting more input from you.
Yeah, and we have an extra facilities committee meeting this week related to that site selection piece. So on the 21st at 5 p.m., we have our next facilities committee meeting. And I thought that I could just take a minute and share that website page so people know where to go. So if you go to the new Central Vermont Career Center website, you'll see that there's the school district page. Right next to it is the re-envisioning. And if you move to that building a new CVCC, the survey is right at the top. So if you didn't catch that QR code, you didn't pause your TV to see that, or your computer screen, it's right there on our website as well. And it gives you information about this forum. We'll probably replace that with the video and just some of the pieces that we've been talking about today. The meeting that we kicked off this work with for this year, our timeline, some of the visits are a bunch of our teachers and I went and visited 3 centers in Maine that LaValle Brensinger were involved in helping design. And so that was great. And there's pictures of those. So it helps maybe get your ideas flowing, and you can then scroll right back to that top and take that survey for us. We lost
Okay.
Julie.
Oh. Well, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, and here's Julie's back.
Sorry.
You came back. You came back for the encore.
Sorry. I pressed the wrong button.
Yeah.
We haven't had a lot of questions. I know that probably the superintendents had the most questions, and there was some curiosity about how this might impact sending schools a little bit, and other building projects across our sending districts, and how we might collaborate to make sure that we're getting the message across that we're all working to meet students' needs, and what does that look like, and how do we keep growing this vision to meet the needs of students and industries in Vermont.
Right.
Thank you if you're watching this.
Yeah. And have a great evening.